The battlefield was ready. On one side, the Philistines, fierce warriors, hardened by blood and victory. On the other, the army of Israel, trapped, ashamed, and paralyzed by a single man, Goliath, a giant almost 10 feet tall, fully armed, who mocked God's people day after day. He wasn't just challenging the soldiers, he was mocking the very name of the Lord. For 40 days, Goliath shouted, "Send me a man to fight!" But no one dared to take a step. No one, until David showed up. A young man who wasn't even a soldier. He had only gone to bring bread and cheese to his brothers, but what he saw ignited his spirit. He didn't see a monster. He saw an offense against the name of the Lord. And when no one else had the courage to fight, David stood up, not in the name of strength, but in the name of faith. When King Saul heard that someone was willing to face Goliath, he thought it was a joke. And when he saw that it was just a skinny young man, he tried to dissuade him. But David had something that Saul and the other warriors didn't have: experience with God in secret. He told them about the lion, about the bear, about how God had delivered him. He knew that the same God of the fields would be with him before the giant. Still, Saul tried to dress him in his armor, heavy, made for a different body, for a different kind of warrior. But David refused. It wasn't for him. And here we learn something powerful. You will never defeat your giants wearing someone else's armor. God will use you your way, with the tools he has trained you to use. So David went with what he knew: a staff, 5 smooth stones, and a sling, nothing more. Because his confidence was not in weapons, but in the Lord of hosts. David entered the valley. The crowd watched in silence. Goliath saw him and laughed, mocked him. "You come to me with sticks? Am I a dog?" He didn't know his time was about to be up, and David responded with words that still echo like arrows in the spiritual realm. "You come against me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." And then, in just a few seconds, David ran forward, swung his sling, and a stone flew straight to the giant's forehead. The enemy fell with a thud. Silence. Shock. God's people rose up. David ran, grabbed Goliath's sword, and finished the battle with the enemy's own weapon. A boy defeated the greatest warrior because the battle wasn't his. It belonged to the Lord. That victory changed everything. David was now seen as a hero, acclaimed by Israel, loved by the people. But here begins his greatest challenge: dealing with Saul's jealousy. When the king heard the women singing, "Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands," he was consumed by envy. A new battle began: the persecution. David, once celebrated, was now being hunted. And here we learn a great truth: not every victory leads you straight to the throne. Sometimes victory attracts opposition. But David did not rebel. He fled, yes, but always with integrity. He had the chance to kill Saul and didn't take it, because he understood. Even though he had been anointed, he was still in waiting. He didn't want to take the crown by force. He wanted to receive it from God's hands at the right time. David teaches us that defeating giants is only part of the journey. The real challenge is keeping your heart aligned with God, even when you are unjustly persecuted. He remained faithful. He wrote psalms in the desert. He cried, prayed, hid, but never stopped trusting. And this sets the stage for the next chapter, when the boy who defeated Goliath and endured Saul finally becomes king of Israel. But before we end this episode, pay close attention. Maybe today you are facing a Goliath, or maybe you are hiding like David. But if you trust in God, He is writing something much bigger. The battle is real, but the victory already has an owner, and it's not the giant. And if you thought this chapter was powerful, just wait to see what's coming next. In the next episode, we'll dive into a deep and difficult phase of David's life, when the king who had everything falls into sin, loses control, and needs to face the consequences of his choices. Don't miss it. David, the fall, the pain, and the forgiveness. Subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and share this series with someone who needs hope in the midst of battle. See you in the next chapter.